like a little story. A little story time.
Tell us.
A little bit about myself. Okay, so coming in, so for me, growing up and everything, I was fortunate enough to never really have to go through anything too hard. I grew up, 2 parents, little home, I had 2 brothers, and so it was nothing too crazy. But, thank you. But I had the privilege and the advantage to never like wonder where like, you know, my next meal is gonna come from too much. I always had a roof over my head, which is really good, which is a huge advantage coming in. And so going through like school and everything though, before college especially, I didn't really do much. I would just stay at home, and I was like that type of person in high school who would just, I wouldn't really like go out and like hang out with friends. I did like little like sports and things like here and there, but I had really nothing going on. I would go home, I would sit in my room, maybe like watch a little TV and just go through the motions. I was a go through the motions kind of gal. And then I moved out for college. That's when I actually moved up to Dallas because I grew up near Austin, which all of you have probably heard before once or twice. And so, but when I moved up to Dallas and I went to school and everything, for me, it was kind of just more going through the motions. I had no interests, no hobbies, nothing I really like needed to do. One thing about me is that whenever I moved out of home, I just knew that I was never going to move back to like a small town where there was really just nobody there. And so I knew that I was going to stay out and just venture out and keep doing things, but I had no direction. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was leasing apartment manager for a while. I was diving into some real estate courses. And for me, especially before this business, I did not care about things like money. I didn't care about really how I spent my time too much. I was just, as long as I was having fun and like my general bills were paid, like I was good. And so I did not care about money at all. And this isn't like too long of a thing, but I kind of just want to talk about like what this business has been able to do for me. And so coming in, especially starting back in Dallas, I came in and I had like the same kind of thing. I came in, there was just a bunch of activity going on. Everybody was talking and collaborating with each other. I was like, yeah, like what did I just walk into, especially for my interview. And I went through, and when I got hired on, I still kind of was like, okay, like marketing, like this is interesting, this is kind of new. It's nothing I thought I was going to be doing, but I knew that whenever I walked in the room, there was enough going on, enough like energy, enough teaching, enough growth, enough learning continuously. And I was like, okay, like I think I'm going to like it here though. And so I stayed, and I ended up learning a lot, obviously. And one thing that I really took away from this business is what this business can provide for the people who will really commit to this business, and what it can provide for their families and their future, right? And so since I was the type of person who did not give any attention to how much money I spent, I had racked up a few credit cards and stuff like that before the business, because like I said, as long as my bills were paid, like I was good. I was gonna go shopping, I was gonna have fun, I was gonna buy whatever I wanted to buy, I know, right? And so this business kind of taught me how to start caring about money. And so from all of that before, like I have like, you know, student loans, stuff like that. And so coming in, that's when I finally started to buckle down and understand the importance of living frugal, of starting to save money, of starting not to spend money where I didn't need to spend money. And that was like a really big one for me, because I had not a care in the world for it, you know? And especially since I didn't really know what I wanted to do, I wasn't really like, you know, working toward anything specific. I just was getting a paycheck, and as long as things were good, then I was good. And the rest of it could go to whatever I wanted it to go to. I'd go out all the time. Sunday brunch, huge favorite, never missed it. The new pair of boots, I used to own an awful amount of boots when I lived back in Texas. I don't really wear boots that much anymore, but it was a lot. Boots are not cheap. And so yeah, and if the new thing came out, I was gonna get the new thing. Like there was no question about it. And so coming in, I started to learn how to control that aspect of it. And whenever I started to first hear, you know, like Richard and Danny and my mentors back in Dallas speak, and the way that they spoke on money was never anything that I ever really experienced before, because growing up for me, I was taught not really to talk about money. And I soon figured out that it's probably because we didn't have enough of it, or too much of it growing up. So it was kind of like, you know, like no one needs to know like about money. No one needs to know about how much money you have. No one needs to know about how much money you make. And then when I got into a business like this, where it's so encouraged to talk about money and to talk about what money can do for you, the things it can provide, the people that it can help, I kind of started to get into that shift of mindset about it. And so the more I got into it, the more that I really saw in real time the things that it did for the people around me, right? And so soon into the business is when I moved up here with Danny with the expansion, whenever we moved out to North Carolina with the company. And that's when I really got to dive in, like seeing the business, start from scratch up. That's when I really got to dive in about how important money was, right? Because coming in, because all of you applied like something like Indeed, right? To come in. I learned about the money that goes behind that. I learned about the investment it took from Richard to help Danny with the expansion in the first place to move up here. I learned about what it could provide families as far as like savings for a business, what it could eventually provide families, people who work for you. I learned, about payroll, like it all comes from somewhere, right? And so for me coming in, I was always still like kind of very cautious to start talking about money because I knew that before this business I didn't really care about it, so I had racked up like credit card debt, I had student loans I didn't really care about. I was still getting out of that mindset of like I can just buy whatever I want, like as long as my stuff's covered, like I don't really need to save, like what am I saving for, right? And it just comes from a really bad mindset of like we just really don't have to talk about it. I never had to learn about it much. And so as I get into learning it, I've been able to see really what this can provide. And so now that I am in the executive branch management part of the business, I have a way better understanding than what I once did of what money can do. And so a lot of it for me goes back into Danny and Richard though, right? Like they have been able to pour into me about so many things, about this business, about my relationships with people, about teaching, mentoring, but one really big one is about finances, right? I've seen finally like firsthand like what the business can do. Like with Richard, I was there whenever he was able to just like buy his first house like just in cash, right, from this business. And he has a son now. I've been able to see him be able to spend time with his son rather than having to actively still be working for money because of what this business can provide, right? And so like with Danny, I was able to see him like pay off his car in cash in one check, or pay off his sister's quinceañera and with one check, just because of what this business can provide. He's able to take care of his person's retired, and they've been able to truly pour into and give me knowledge about the importance of finances. And so for me, that was always just, like I said, like a little touchy of a subject. But yesterday with Richard actually being in town and everything, we actually got to sit down, me, Danny, and Richard, and we kind of talked about just like finances, right? Because now it's super inviting. Like now I'm like, yeah, like let's talk about money, right? We kind of broke down the business, where we were at, how far we've all come, and then we even hopped on a call with Julia Davis, one of the nationals and stuff like that, and we kind of just broke everything down. And so I think it's super, super cool to talk about and to invite conversation about, because yesterday I was actually able to completely pay off all of my debt. Yes, I am debt free. And I think that's probably the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. To be able to come into this business, not really care about anything, especially something like money, right? And then, because I've been in the business almost a year now. It hasn't really been a year, it's been maybe about 10 months or so. What are we in the 11th? Just about almost 11 months or so. And from sitting in orientation class last year, just around this time, about 11 months ago, to being now owning a company and being able to pay off all of my debt in one check, is a really cool feeling, right? Because I didn't really have a choice about a lot of it. Like there's student loans you have to take out, because my parents at the time said, just go get a degree, that's how you get a job, that's how you get through life, right? I got the degree, I didn't know what to do with it. It was psychology. I went and I got the little job, I started real estate courses. Like none of it ever really gave me any direction, but they just told me like these are the things you need to do to go through life, and then you get a job, you work for 45 years, and then you're done. And then I found this business, and then through Danny and Richard mainly, I was able to see the different ways, the different quadrants you can be in as far as money, the different ways to earn income, actively, passively, the different things that financial stability and financial freedom can provide for you and your family. Just like how Richard's able to have his parents on his payroll now, completely retired. Or the way that Danny's able to take care of his family now. And yeah, like not have any student loans, any car loans and stuff. And so now, and for me, as of today, just no loans to my name anymore. It's not something I ever thought I'd be able to do in my 20s. And so I just wanted to talk about for a second, like how cool it is to be able to invite the conversation of money and in a way of this is the things that it's able to provide, not something to shy away of. Because I've learned over time that, especially like with like my parents and stuff growing up, like if money's a topic hard to talk about or that people are scared to talk about, it's probably because we didn't really have enough of it to do anything with. And so now that I am in this new part of my life, in this new chapter of my life, being able to, especially from you guys, like I'm so grateful of the things that I've been able to provide and that have been provided to me just because of you and all of the work that you guys are doing, and you come here and you learn, and your student mentality is just on 10, and the energy that and the culture that's invited with this type of business can create something like financial freedom. And so yeah, I just want to kind of touch on that and everything like that. But going out there today, I want you guys to think about the things that you want in life. Like your whys, like the why behind the things that you do, the why behind the reason that you work so hard, the things that you want for yourself in life. Maybe you're like me and you have a bunch of student loans and stuff that haven't been paid off. Maybe you're the person who like has like the car payment or the house payment or the mortgage that like one day soon, way sooner than you thought, like you might be able to just take care of like in a check, right? Instead of working for like the next 45, 50 years to keep the payments living paycheck to paycheck, because that's absolutely what I thought my future looked like. Versus coming in now, and just because of the culture that you guys have created and the work that you guys do and the energy that you guys bring in, it can create possibilities and lifestyles like this. And so, do you guys think you can use that today?
Yeah!